Like all cultural institutions, radio enforces normalcy. This normalcy is centered on the ability to hear and speak well, with the exception of a few radio shows by disabled people, such as Pushing Limits on KPFA, Disability Matters on Voice America, and podcasts. You don't hear a lot of people that sound different due to disability on public radio, aside from Diane Reed.
Welcome to Pod Ask Us.
Isn't it Pod Access?
Can it be both?
Connecting deaf and disabled podcasters to audiences and each other.
Ba-dum-dum, ba-ba-dum.
Nice Wu-Tang Clan shirt, Thomas.
Oh, thank you. I thought it was appropriate for today's episode.
How's that?
Well, the Wu-Tang consists of multiple MCs coming together as one. Our conversation today is about voices within deaf and disabled podcasting. There's so many and they're so different, but each has something to say.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Plus, the Wu-Tang Clan, like Pod Access, ain't nothing to fuck with.
Neither is ableism, which is why I've got my Suck at Ableism pink star pin with the bubble tea.
That voice you heard at the top of the episode was Alice Wong, taken from Cheryl's podcast, Pigeonhole.
Today's episode is all about voices. We're not just talking about the sound produced when the air from the lungs vibrates the small bands of muscles and other tissue known as the vocal cords inside the larynx.
Okay. We're talking about a perspective or a view based on lived experiences.
You and I both identify as disabled, but people probably wouldn't recognize that solely based on our voices. So we're talking about actual voices.
So why exactly are deaf and disabled voices important?
I think we need disabled people in every position and room and aspect of society in order to make the world more accessible.
That's Kennedy of the Crip Crap podcast.
I see a lot of potential for us and young disabled voices that are like coming up in social media space.
These and other disabled voices are collectively adding to the public discourse on all sorts of topics.
Which is incredible considering how, like Maxwell Joy Moore of Power Not Pity says,
there's so many voices out there in podcasting. There's
millions. And that's not even considering the other platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
But that shouldn't discourage anyone who has something to share.
Definitely. We can discuss what that means for marketing and monetizing if that's a goal, but either way, disabled voices need to be heard.
Your voice matters. We need your opinions. They're important, even if it doesn't always feel that way.
So what do deaf and disabled voices actually sound like?
They sound like Maxwell, Kennedy, you, and me.
Yep, and there's even more variety.
Hi, my name is Lateef McLeod. I am a black man with cerebral palsy. I have a mustache and a thick beard. I use he and him pronouns. The disability affects my mobility and my ability for oral speech. As a result, I use a power wheelchair for mobility and an AC device for my speech.
As this is our final episode of the season and of the year, we'll be switching things up a bit.
Suddenly, jab, jab, my arm gets stabbed by an angry finger. Milo looks up in alarm. The person furiously gestures at the don't touch sign. I don't see them, of course, and turn back to the sculpture. A museum employee stops the raging sighting, explaining that blind people are allowed to touch exhibits. Sadly, sighted people harassing blind people, grabbing and pushing us, is not uncommon. If I may offer a suggestion, the museum should block entry to sighted people. They're quite poorly behaved.
When was the last time you heard a voice like these in the general media?
When was the last time you heard a disabled person providing perspective on politics, sports, or any other topic outside of disability?
Go ahead. We'll wait.
Some people might say that since it's getting easier to find tools to create media, it's democratized the ability to share opinions and perspectives.
Maybe not as much as when you consider how those with money and celebrity have even more access to attention and therefore affect the social conversation.
That's real, but also relative. Podcasts are personal, and sometimes affecting one person is really just the beginning.
That's like the time Maxwell wrote an article that became part of the syllabus for a college course.
And she tells me that all of her students really attached to what I'm saying. Even just thinking about that, I started something small that people resonated with so much that now it's in even bigger arena. And then those people are going to take it to wherever they might take it. So it's really important for my voice to be there, but it's even more important for us to listen to all the voices that I bring forth with me too.
I love that. You just never know where something will lead.
Opportunities to do other things like start creative collaborations, find employment or career advancements, maybe meeting new friends, and I'm sure many other things.
I know many of us in the community have a negative relationship with categorizing things as inspirational.
Uh-oh.
No. I'm not going to use that. But I will say, sharing our perspectives and stories can be encouraging not only to others, but ourselves as well.
I think my voice is important because for my whole life, I just never thought anyone would ever want to listen to me because of my stutter.
This is the host of the Proud Stutter podcast, Maya Chupkov.
I would see people on stage speaking and everyone would be in awe with them. And I'd be like, that's never going to be me. And that's really heartbreaking, like just thinking about it now. I think the reason why my voice is important is because I can help others kind of get out of that mentality. And the more honest I am about that journey, I think the better it is going to be for other people who stutter. I come to this work from like a very genuine place, and I feel like you can't really fake that. And so I'm hoping that people can see that in the podcast and really trust that this is a safe space, because stuttering, there's so much that is attached to it, like trauma and insecurity and shame and all these like really intense emotions. And it could really be hard for people to ever talk about it because it's just so painful. And so I am lucky in that I've found this voice somehow.
Our individual voices need to be valued because they represent our points of view.
As Kennedy reminds us, a multitude of intersectional lived experiences.
I think we bring a unique perspective. I'm queer and fat. Justin's Black and he's 12 years older than me. Between the two of us, there's a lot of different perspectives and experiences, and we can relate to different guests differently. There's really no end to the different topics and people potential in this space.
Keith Jones of the Disabled Black Men Talk podcast brings it all home.
It's absolutely important that for the work that we do, particularly on their podcast, because it is a podcast that's driven by current topics, social climate, issues that have faced Black Americans and, people, to be quite candid, who are not white, well off on a daily basis. Out of the hundreds of thousands or millions of podcasts, the issues that we talk about are quite specific and quite unique. And it's key because we don't talk about the intersectionality of multiple identities. And it's not just your disability. It's having a disability and mental health challenges healthcare challenges, raising your kids, or being denied the ability to take care of your kids, and the housing. So it's all of these things. So it's critically important that we feel that at least those topics are elevated because the conversations are happening. And a lot of times when we hear from the community is that we didn't know this until you said it. So it's not about fighting 100 million podcasts. It's about responding to what the community has asked for.
I'm so glad that when I started my podcast, I didn't think about the others. I didn't really think about getting heard as much as I did about expressing myself and finding my voice.
Yeah, it's not to say that the other things don't matter. It's just finding value in your own voice is really worth the work.
I'd love to hear from others who are currently podcasting about some of the unexpected benefits gained from podcasting.
What are some things you'd like discussed from a disability perspective?
We want to hear from you on these questions or anything regarding deaf and disabled voices in podcasting. Go to podaccess.net and hit the Contact Us button.
And you can upload a voice memo or write a message.
And you might just hear it,
read it,
or see it in a future episode of the podcast or on social media.
Tell a friend and an enemy to follow or subscribe to Pod Access wherever you get your podcasts, and on Instagram at @ThePodAccess, at ThePodAccess.
Podaccess.net.